Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session on rethinking your ERP and how Acumatica can help improve your processes and businesses over Sage 100. Next slide. So the agenda for today is, I've already thanked you, and we appreciate your time and for attending. My name is Jeff Rose. I have been with Martin & Associates since 1994. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us to go through some of the Acumatica functionality and differences that we can offer over the Sage 100 on-premise system. So we'll provide a brief background on Martin & Associates, Acumatica's approach to ERP. So go through some of the publisher and platform differences that they bring to market, and go over a high-level overview of some of the Acumatica features that common Sage 100 customers really enjoy when they've moved from Sage over to Acumatica. Next slide. So my introduction, I'm the managing partner for Martin & Associates. I'm in my 29th year here at Martin & Associates. Tom Ferris is our Acumatica practice manager, and we'll be sharing some of the presentation slides and content here over the next 45 minutes or so. Martin & Associates was founded in 1988. We currently have 25 employees. The majority of those are in our Cincinnati, really Evendale office. And we have some remote folks kind of in Colorado, Missouri, and Virginia. Most of our staff is in Cincinnati. The staff that we have are made up of CPAs/accountants to offer very deep levels of knowledge in accounting. We have business process analysts that are responsible for taking customers' requirements and turning those into successful ERP systems. We have technicians and programmers so that we can alter Acumatica, in this case for this seminar. We can alter and add functionality using development tools as well as built-in workflow capabilities inside of Acumatica. And then we have hardware and server expertise as needed. We specialize in basically ERP/accounting systems. That is why we exist. We support Acumatica, Sage, and Microsoft. We do CRM, and primarily as a supplementary system to our accounting systems. And then certainly our development resources allow us to expand the functionality of those systems, as well as developing supplementary systems beyond the ERP or CRM. So just systems built or designed to deliver some other functionality outside of those systems. So some of our differentiating points. We've had hundreds of ERP implementations. The vast majority of them include distribution and manufacturing, but we have a wide variety of companies that sell their products online, and Acumatica has really been able to improve that our offering to those customers with some native integration to some shopping cart systems. With project accounting and field service, Acumatica has been able to deliver or give us customers and prospects that really Sage 100 hadn't been able to provide enough value to really get into those industries. So thankfully, Acumatica's capabilities have given us the ability to go into markets and areas where we typically haven't been able to provide a great solution. And then obviously just core accounting customers, we have hundreds of those, and Acumatica does a great job in those, especially with multi-company, multi-branch entities. So there's some great power in Acumatica for those types of customers. And in general, we have a team that works for you all the way from sales through the demos, all the way from implementation. And then that same team is providing support and future initiatives, throughout the life cycle, hopefully, of our relationship with our customers. So, we try to keep the same team when possible throughout that entire process. We, as mentioned before, we have in-house development, and we have a proven project planning method using Zoho Project, leveraging the years of implementation experience that we've had over the last 30 some years. And then certainly we're collaborative in a partner approach with setting goals, defining phases of the implementation so that we can, meet the requirements and the desired outcome of our customers. Next slide.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction to Martin Associates. I'll pick up here with a few slides about how Acumatica positions itself as a publisher and a platform, and then we'll get into the demo. And I'm very glad to have both Acumatica and Sage 100 expertise on the call in Jeff and Joe Gubser. Again, I'm Tom Ferris, the Acumatica practice manager. And here we go. Let's let Acumatica present a few slides. These will be, this slide deck will be available for download or being sent to participants today as well. Acumatica has been around since 2008 and basically kind of born in the cloud is how they like to present themselves, in that it's really a SQL database with modern like HTML5 based interface, allowing connectivity and feature set to be designed against kind of like basically a modern starting point. Typical with a new kind of more modern ERP would be uptime and ability to access it the way you'd expect a cloud-based application to be, including modern security and connectivity options. Those connectivity options come to, I guess they make a nice visual here. This is a small subset of the integrations that are pre-built, everything from Procore for construction project management up at the top, down lower right, we see tax automation providers, Vertex and Avalara, documentation management in Adobe and DocuSign. Those integrations they're constantly coming online with Acumatica, where someone who has served other ERP markets realizes Acumatica's presence and ease of connection, and then works either themselves with a third party or with Acumatica directly to come up with integrations, which we'll talk about a bit during the demonstration. Again, we kind of prefaced security with a cloud system, automated backups, and multi-zone disaster recovery, for example, can be offshore and not necessarily the responsibility of the user organization, but managed in a SaaS or subscription as a service option for the ERP and finance system. Cloud access means being accessed via remote. Also means that mobile applications, a mobile platform is part of Acumatica's software license. What device you choose to connect to the database is really up to you. We're running Linux as an operating system, Windows, Apple, iOS for that matter, and which browser you choose is really up to you. And then behind the technology, kind of more modern technology platform is ease of API, integration connectivity, and AI and machine learning. And then some of the AI and integrations are kind of quietly supporting the application behind the scenes because it's easy to integrate with other process centers. A brief glimpse of Acumatica's customer bill of rights has a few highlights. Initial migration to the cloud can come with some concerns about access to data. Component number 8 of the Acumatica's customer bill of rights says that very SQL database that the application is running against can be downloaded, and basically a full SQL backup can be provided. That's what they really mean by a usable data format. It's basically essentially an intact SQL backup can be provided to customers at any point in time, including on exit from Acumatica if that happens. So your data is not locked in the cloud. It remains yours. And if you have common SQL capacities in-house, those resources will understand that it's basically a fully relational database that can be provided at any point in time by Acumatica. The other component I would add here is the community, in that Acumatica sells exclusively through their partner channel, aka value-added resellers or VARs partners like Martin Associates. That's the only way they go to market. Acumatica provides what they call a growth-friendly license, allowing for both unlimited user access as well as an option for user-based licensing. So user-based licensing or consumption-based licensing, which is the equivalent of a mobile phone bill. That the more you use the system, the more you pay, and then with that comes an unlimited user experience, allowing users across the organization to be connected to the application, whether they're using it, consuming simply a dashboard or day-to-day consumption. Another asset that the publisher makes available to the general public, to prospects, to customers, to partners like Martin Associates is a free online training portal with hundreds of courses, useful for onboarding, evaluation, retraining staff. It's the same content that Martin Associates uses to remain certified and keep up our certification on the product. There is a significant community portal where developers, customers, prospects, and partners like Martin Associates all contribute to a knowledge base. Next up would be a brief snapshot of the industry, recognizing Acumatica in both technical prowess as well as uptime and feature set. So if Acumatica is a little bit newer to the markets than some of its competitors, that doesn't mean it hasn't been receiving accolades since its inception. Today, we're going to be focusing on not only the Acumatica's financial core, or GLAPR, GL, AP, AR, and cash management, but also how that core can be extended for inventory management, sales orders, purchase order management, manufacturing. There's also construction and retail commerce additions that kind of build on that financial core. And that is it for slides, unless Jeff or Joe had any highlights they wanted me to go over. We will transition to our demonstration.
No, I think one of the key differentiating points is the no user fees. So that's a departure from Sage 100, certainly.
Yep. And again, I think the best fit would be if any participants today who have kind of questions about Acumatica's license, just reach out to us at Martin Associates, whomever you currently interact with, or Jeff himself, or myself, or Joe. Be happy to answer those questions. Okay. All right, to set a little kind of mini agenda about what we're going to see, I'll go through a brief kind of general orientation to Acumatica, and then we'll move into some functional specifics of benefits for customers who are familiar with Sage, and some of the ease of use, built-in functionality, optional integrations, and then some specific content for certain verticals will be kind of the tail end. I start by landing on a dashboard that a user can decide which of the 25 or so out-of-the-box dashboards that Acumatica comes with is the best fit for them to start. These dashboards are easily modified. A dashboard like this that has a widget for orders to ship, for example. This is all real-time data. There is no intermediate data warehouse for Acumatica. We're basically essentially directly querying the SQL. And so having clicked on a particular component on that dashboard and looking at the inquiry of orders to ship, ability to drill into a particular sales order. If someone resolves this order to ship and actually executes a shipment or executes a partial shipment, sending this order into back order status, the dashboard that I started this from will be instantly updated. Right? So if I went and took action and actually created a shipment against this order to get these out the door, the dashboard would be updated right away. Yes, we don't have to wait for like an overnight refresh for a dashboard element like this. A couple other navigational cues. The workspaces or modules of Acumatica are listed here on the left. What I can see is based on role-based security as presented by my administrator. And if I need to add an additional workspace, I'm coming down to this more items prompt and toggling a push pin sideways. And now I have the taxes workspace on my left navigation panel. If I want to gain a little bit more primary form real estate, I can collapse that to smaller icons. Within a given workspace, we're going to spend a little bit of time today on sales orders. Users are able to take all the objects that they have access to between reports and forms and profiles and process screens and decide which are the most important. If I'm dealing with sales orders, but I don't really have much of a role in accounts receivable, I can remove invoices. If I'm not actually on the picking team, some of these printed forms may not need to be promoted for me. And now I'm basically kind of changing how the show all versus show less menu works for me. Next level of navigation would be, what are my absolute favorite things that I am monitoring? Sales orders and shipments are something very, very common. And I can put this little yellow star or highlight this yellow star next to a given form or report. And that's added to a contextual favorites menu. Some customers are able to navigate Acumatica almost exclusively in their day-to-day activities with just building a favorites menu that helps them. I manage sales orders. I'm also paying attention to open POs for my customers, linked orders, and I have marketing activity. So building a favorites menu like this is something that's very, very valuable. If there's something in Acumatica that I need to find that I don't know where it resides, this universal search form up here has 4 chapters of return. They include, if I type in the string 1099, am I looking for an object in Acumatica, like the 1099 year summary report? Am I looking for a particular transaction or profile, in which case this is searching through AP bills, inventory issues, vendor records, etc. Did I type in 1099 because I'm looking for some assistance with like a process, like filling out 1099 forms or closing the 1099 year? 4th chapter of universal search return is file attachments. Did I attach a vendor's invoice as an AP bill? Okay. Couple of quick other additional tour elements. If your business is broken into divisions, companies, branches, sales territories, those partitions can be created, whether those partitions within your organization are considered dedicated EINs or not. That's all part of one tax structure. The branch and company structure in Acumatica that doesn't impact your license. You can basically, this is up to you as a business owner to decide how you partition things out in Acumatica, and security is an option. There might be no security associated with these branches, or you could actually use this branch structure to say folks in the retail division should only be able to see transactions associated with the retail division, and they don't need another tenant to all be on the same ledger, but their access can be restricted. So very flexible company and branch, division, department structure. Last bit of general orientation is kind of usability of forms and lists. So I'm going to pop into something very common, monitoring sales orders. And here's some 7,400 records in the sales order form. Navigating it, if the customer's name is the most important data element for me, I can choose to advance that field to be the first column. Optionally, the types of data elements that could be part of my view or grid, I'll have a list of available columns, and I can select them, move them into my view, and then actually place them in order, kind of en masse. So a lot of flexibility there. This is the generic inquiry form in Acumatica, which we'll visit here in some more detail. It's a very powerful but easy to use tool. It contains things like building a custom filter if I want to, or even a pivot table. So a very common thing would be to take some 7,400 records and build a pivot table. We'll cross tab sales order type by the document's status, for example. And this will help me kind of quickly break down this large volume of documents into the areas I need to focus on. So I said the order type and the document's status, and then just give me a count of those orders themselves. And now, with a pivot table built right in, this can form the basis for a lot of reports. Right now, I'm just using it as a navigational cue. What I need to be paying attention to are the open sales orders. I'm monitoring those. In fact, one of them is in a process of being shipped. But this little hyperlink to the quantity of 8 helps me drill down from some 7,500 records to the 8 I need to pay attention to. This inquiry also is the basis for dashboards. I've just built the potential basis for a dashboard widget called Open Sales Orders. It's without any programming knowledge, I can basically promote this view to become a dashboard component. I don't necessarily need to go to my programming base. About an hour's worth of training content on generic inquiries and dashboards. An average, moderately technical proficient user should be able to build their own inquiries and dashboard elements. Okay, I'm going to now kind of formally move into a chapter I call ease of use, and we'll move through a couple scenarios of some of the common features in Acumatica that really kind of streamline using the ERP. We've done really one here in this sales order content. So this demonstrates, again, some of the flexibility. A couple other highlights to a generic inquiry would be the ability to, if some of the analysis I want to perform is actually in an Excel form I maintain on my desktop. Just because you're in the cloud doesn't mean you can't talk to a local resource like Excel. The OData format allows us to expose any generic inquiry in Acumatica so that data can be uptaken by a business intelligence or BI system like Microsoft Power BI, for example, or Microsoft Excel for that matter. So if I have an analysis I want to perform on my desktop in Excel, I can have fresh data from Acumatica fed into Excel through OData. At this point, I guess I would say, Jeff or Joe, do you have any highlights on generic inquiry before I move on to another topic?
No, I mean, in general, this could feed Power BI or other sources of data. Certainly there's the internal dashboard, but if there were other data that needs to be combined with other systems, the OData allows you to feed other systems to be used how you would see fit.
Excellent. Thanks, sir. I guess before I leave this sales order generic inquiry, in addition to the ability to conduct moderate mass updating of data, the side panel feature is also a fantastic extension to inquiring of data. So here's a potential scenario. I'm looking at this particular open sales order, and at a glance, without having to drill into the sales order or into the customer AR, I've got a side panel here for AR aging that will basically run the AR aging report for that particular customer right alongside my generic inquiry of list of the open sales order. So as I move from record to record, I'm basically feeding the AR aging report that particular customer, and I get a quick glance maybe before I go and interact with them about their outstanding balance. So that can be valuable from a sales standpoint. And this side panel form is available on all generic inquiries. This is a user construct. This does not take programming. This basically just takes linking in the generic inquiry to the existing form, where you're basically saying, I need you to just feed the context of the customer ID into that form, and then just that report, and then display it alongside. And how much real estate that takes up, that's really kind of up to you. So side panels and a powerful extension of the generic inquiry feature. Okay. Next, I was going to highlight how easy it is to attach things. So if I pull up on my desktop, some information. If I want to form a new customer record, form a new sales order based on the customer's PO, that customer PO that I downloaded maybe from my inbox. This drag and drop capacity means that at the very least, that process didn't help me populate the details of the sales order, That simple drag and drop means that I have kind of permanently attached what was on my desktop or in some directory. Instead, it's right in the actual sales order record, the customer's PO. The ability to actually scan documents is also an option in Acumatica. So too is the ability to take a grid like this detailed list. If the customer had given me a CSV or an Excel file, I could actually be loading the detailed rows from their PO document into my sales order. So this ability to export details out of Acumatica to Excel, or conversely, load records from Excel or CSV into Acumatica to populate details. Some customers, they send over a 100-line PO, and so long as they provide it in something that's Excel or CSV compliant, can pull it right into Acumatica in addition to a file attachment, drag and drop.
And then also with that files, if you click on the files view, there you have the ability to upload files using your camera on your phone. If we enable scanners, when I talk about scanners, I mean image scanners. You could press a button and it would operate or cause the scanner to try to scan whatever is in its loading bin and attach those documents directly to whatever record that you have up. So whether you're trying to document the original document that somebody had sent you, a vendor or a customer, and you need it scanned, or whether it was emailed, you can get it inside of the system and have it attached.
Yep. Excellent. Further extending that attachment capacity, that was a document level attachment up here in this files menu, which now displays a 1. This clipboard represents the fact that you can have attachments at the line level. You can also have line level notes, just an L there. And when we do that, the icon will light up. So too will the attachment icon will light up when there's the presence of a note there, or document level notes, and print forms, sales order confirmation forms that are emailed, that they can be told to include or not include document level or line level notes on the printout or the PDF that is emailed to a customer. So we're going to see that feature set available throughout Acumatica. You'll kind of watch this, basically this settings bar up here at the top with files, activities, notes. It's going to be present on document type after document type, and so too with line level notes and attachments. Okay, next level of kind of interaction with this particular document, file attachments, would be to quickly review the activities. This is basically a mini CRM where we can actually put notes associated with this particular document. So note on their PO contents. It too will have additional notes and file attachment. So that's one type of activity record. And if I am not the author of this sales order, but I'm kind of following up on it, I can see the presence of an activity history and file attachments here that kind of justify this entry. Throughout Acumatica, we can audit a record and understand who added this document, from what form did they add it, when did they do it, and then who's the last person that modified it. And that's kind of stage one. There's also the ability to audit field by field on who changed the quantity from 550 to 575. That can actually be recorded into a log. But the kind of next level of activity would be passing the baton, or actually sending another user a task. So an example would be like this, like, Jeff, can you please follow up with them on their latest question? And I might put those question details here in this form and then assign this to another team member and ask that they get this addressed by next Tuesday. Save and close. And then this list now can actually be consumed as a task on the time and expenses grid. And that very same task can be associated with business events that send out reminders via either text or email. You can have a dashboard of open tasks that need to be done. This one's not owned by me anymore, but it was crafted by me, and now it's in Jeff's queue, theoretically. All right, so we have kind of basically an activity log that can also spawn tasks or action items for others within our organization. Okay, I'm going to go next to a dashboard.
Real quick, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Also within that activities, there's built-in custom or built-in paperless office capabilities. Paperless office being the State 100 term for that. So if you're emailing this document, whether you're printing it to screen and pressing the send button, or whether you have it configured to send behind the scenes, it's going to record that activity as being sent in a given time period. So also those activities of communication are automatically being recorded behind the scenes. So this would be an example of the email that Bart would get when we sent the order confirmation to them. And keep in mind, all of these things, as Tom had mentioned, are available virtually in every profile and every document. So these types of activities, attachments, those types of things, notes can be tracked throughout the system. So it's ubiquitous throughout Acumatica.
Yep. And to Jeff's point, I chose to kind of manually invoke this email sales order command, but that process can also be quietly running in the background on a schedule, so that sales personnel, data entry clerks, once the document reaches a certain status, is taken off hold and is in an open status, that can be the trigger by which this emailing of the sales order, that's a confirmation business process, is automatically sent by Acumatica. I just happen to trigger it automatically, whether I triggered it manually. Regardless of how it gets done, to Jeff's point, it will become part of the archive on this document that it was emailed on this date to this person, and you can actually see the PDF attachment. Awesome. Okay, moving on to another kind of usability scenario. I will take us into our dashboards list and visit another one of the out-of-the-box dashboards. And that's, yesterday I had this. I had a one here, but time has moved on, and that shipment is now being considered late by Acumatica. Okay, and I wanted to kind of highlight this, that many systems are designed around, I need a report. Please show me a report of shipments that are late. Yes, that exists. If I went into the shipments form here, wrong click. If I went into the shipments form, we could certainly identify shipments that are late. I could set up a filter that does that, and this list could act as a report, or I could come up with a more kind of PDF-friendly report that can be emailed out. Ideally, if we can keep users out of inboxes and have systems not spam their inboxes, might actually have faster, cleaner execution of processes from end to end. And hence, a dashboard is a great first place to go to identify what shipments are late. I'm basically advocating for a modern ERP that is easy to build. Dashboards can displace reports being sent and moved around, delivered outside the system or even inside the system, and instead have dashboard queues helped prompt users for what their next natural action should be. In this case, what's drawing my attention is the red and shipments that are late. So This allows me to just kind of drill in and go take a look at that shipment and understand, like, do we have problems picking things? Did we have the wrong, like, lot picked or something like that? Or do we have a problem with the shipping carrier? All right, so that's kind of a quick view of reporting versus list versus dashboard. Acumatica supports all of them, in addition to emailing and sending out SMS messages to a mobile phone if you want to about emergency statuses. But ideally, before it becomes an emergency that requires an email from the system, hopefully we're building processes where use patterns where we're visiting a dashboard, for example, for that prompt. Okay, I'm going to shift next to another usability view by way of user security. And we'll go find, where is Parker? As an example. There we go. All right, so I want to pick on a particular user account where we're granting access based on role-based security, and highlight some of Acumatica's security features really easily. One is TFA, so two-factor or multi-factor authentication. That can be linked to, kind of more common secondary, typically on your mobile phone, authentication protocols. Acumatica supports single sign-on, Active Directory, if you have that internally. It can be taught to filter your access to come into Acumatica only from certain IP ranges. We can monitor, if necessary, external identities, track mobile devices of users and enable them. And then with mobile devices, we can actually enable location tracking for, say, field services personnel. Those are some kind of quick technical remote access security related highlights. These typically pertain to, some of these pertain to mobile access, but they can also pertain to logging into the full UI that I'm looking at now. Jeff, Joe, any other highlights on ease of use before I move on to some built-in functions?
Well, from a security standpoint, roles allow you to go way further in granularity than a Sage 100. You can go down into a form to allow certain actions, certain fields to be read-only versus full edit capabilities. So you can alter the screens that people are looking at to hide or show information based on their security role, which is possible in Sage, but it's not quite as flexible. You have to go through custom office to do some of those things. So this security allows you to get all the way into the screen and alter what a user can see through their rights.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, fantastic. So I'm transitioning to a new chapter of viewing Acumatica, and this is really kind of called built-in functionality. In that it has a robust financial core for accounts payable, bank reconciliation, payables, and receivables. But let's do a quick tour of some adjuncts that in the past, typically these are in third-party systems. An example would be CRM. So Acumatica's optional CRM feature is built right in. And this will allow for continuity from leads that are yet unqualified. A trade show list being uploaded. It can be associated with a particular campaign if you want to track the eventual potential revenue generated through that investment of going out to trade shows and taking the trade show list, uploading it, and working those leads all the way through opportunity tracking. And we can leave that one. Let's save that, and let's say we advance that that lead through to an opportunity. Opportunities support a history of multiple quotes, if necessary, before either the opportunity or the quote itself is converted to a sales order. And so what this means really, an integrated CRM, there's no updating two systems. There's no sync between the two of them. It's native. This isn't native Acumatica tables. I'm on a given sales order. I could actually go back and look at the history of where this customer and the opportunities that generated revenue actually came from, all the way right back to the source campaign, my investment in visiting trade shows in 2022. Okay, so CRM. It also houses a kind of a basic marketing list feature, as well as actually monitoring a particular campaign for its profitability. So if we pop into a campaign record, again, this is where the math happens, that I budgeted this much expense associated with this marketing, whether it's a billboard or search engine optimization or trade show attendance. I can budget for expected revenue and then kind of track the impact of leads that I generated, converted, opportunities generated, won, and revenue. So, next in our tour of kind of built-in functionality would be fixed assets. So fully integrated fixed asset module, robust reports all the way through projecting out depreciation schedules. We can go reach right into the accounts payable and purchasing modules and convert those purchases to a fixed asset. That actually goes through a reconciliation process. If we take a look at a given asset, just to get a little brief view of what an asset can look like from start to finish, we manage by class, useful life assumptions. It's capable of multiple books, a posting book, and then non-posting tax books for Uncle Sam or a given state. Those can be running on different depreciation schedules. What's its origin? Where's my originating AP bill and or purchase order? And then the transaction history. Again, we'll convert that AP bill straight into your fixed asset account that's appropriate. We get visibility to the anticipated depreciation schedule all the way through, and managing depreciation and mass. All the process forms throughout Acumatica, whether it's creating shipments from open sales orders that are ready to go or calculating depreciation, can be run on an automation schedule that fires at whatever intervals we designate, once a minute, just overnight, every 4 hours. And we can actually have multiple concurrent automation schedules because each one of these supports conditional things. So if I want certain processes to run more frequently than others, we can have multiple automation schedules triggering a given form instead of having to press buttons like to run depreciation. All right, that's fixed assets. Next up in our built-in functionality be WMS. So if I pop into inventory, this automated operations list includes things, functions like scan and receive or scan and transfer, supporting physical inventory or cycle counts is scan and count. So this is applicable whether I have a printed count sheet and I want to use a web scanner, a simple USB device to scan barcodes on that document. I can be using this form. This same form also extends to the mobile app supporting Android, iOS, Android or iOS compliant devices. So for true handheld capacity, and that's a very modest price point. It's all built right in, no integration necessary. Next, I will pop into a valuable example of machine learning, and that would be conducting a true scanning. We talked about possibly scanning other document types. One document scanning service that actually comes with Acumatica out of the box as of March 2023 is accounts payable bills, basically a vendor's invoice being scanned via what we used to call OCR, optical character recognition. Now they call it AI or machine learning. But what it really looks like is I can have either monitoring in inbox, like ap@myorganization.com, can be monitored, and Acumatica will actually scrape the PDFs that are in that inbox. Emails coming in, or you can do what I just did. That's just kind of a drag and drop from my desktop. This too, again, can be running on a schedule. If we hit recognize all on this form, we'll see Acumatica. This is basically an API call out to a scanning service. So I don't actually have that scanning service on my server. It actually isn't part of Acumatica. It is a third-party service that was just called out to. That's kind of built in, and one of the benefits of being in the cloud. Now we have a document that has been recognized. Let's go take a look at what it did. Now we're going to change that and put a little suffix on that. Otherwise, it thinks I'm trying to scan the same invoice. The process here has identified, if I highlight into, say, like the date field, you can see over in green, it's OCR, or optical character recognition scanning. Machine learning really means that this thing actually gets a little bit smarter. If next time I want it to pick up a description with these three fields right here, I'm actually clicking with my mouse and I'm teaching it, hey, next time you see this office service invoice format, please try to do your best and try to pick up the description for me. The amount itself, that's coming from typically down at the bottom, lower right, and then here in the detail grid is the scanning actually looking for a grid and actually picking up, in this case, description, quantity, unit cost, and extended cost. And the results are, if I hit save and continue from that scan, one, it'll be a little bit smarter next time it scans that particular vendor's invoice. Didn't have to do the drag and drop. Hang on, let's do that. Didn't have to do the drag and drop to get the attachment. The attachment already happened from that scanning service, and I've identified vendor, dates, their reference number, and even the details. A quick review of this, and I can take this document off hold, and I have an open accounts payable document. All right, so included scanning. I'm going to go next to Acumatica's capacity for automated intercompany. So let's go to a different bill.
Hey, Tom, we are at the 5-minute
Oh, yeah.
point.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up. As far as I had basically two more elements that I wanted to go through as far as kind of built-in functionality. So that sounds like that's about where we'll conclude. Okay. Appreciate the heads up. All right. On this particular bill, I want to kind of highlight the relationship between multiple branches. If we actually have due to, due from, this particular bill is paying expenses on behalf of a particular division, Services East. And if we look at the applications behind this bill, we'll see a payment record where this payment is actually being made from a different division. So a wholesale division's checking account is actually being used to pay for this. The result is the company checking account being credited, resolving that accounts payable balance for the division, and the result is an automated due to, due from entry pair for the two organizations as balancing entries. So that's intercompany accounting is an option in Acumatica, and it's kind of basically just part of the menu if desired. Last thing I had was multi-currency support. If we go take a look at our currency management, the full list of currencies basically across the globe, combined with the fact that the actual exchange rates that are dynamically changing, of course, minute to minute, hour to hour. Acumatica's currency translation is going to be based on an API. So built right in is integration with openexchangerates.org. Okay. Again, kind of highlighting Acumatica's architecture. You're in the cloud, SQL database, open API, architecture on all endpoints. It just means that integration is kind of built in and or easy to accomplish. Jeff, if you want to provide any kind of closing remarks or additional things from Joe or Jonathan, the floor is yours.
I did want to highlight a few things that we didn't get to. So integration, that's been a common issue for our Sage 100 customers, where we would have to go outside of the system to get a solution for that. Generally speaking, it's Starship that we would use. There is built-in carrier integration into sales order, so that at least parcel can be done without any other add-on other than just connecting Acumatica to FedEx, UPS, or your U.S. Postal Service delivered through, stamps or Easy Post. So that is, a key thing. Avalara is built in. The integration is built into Acumatica. Obviously, Avalara charges for their service, so it's not included in the subscription to Acumatica, but the integration is native, which makes it quite easy, or easier than what we've had to go through with Sage 100. And going back to a point where you were describing CRM, the power of having it inside of your ERP system, having it as one system, allows you to have one customer record. All the sales history is there, so that any dashboards, any information that your salespeople need to take action on, for customers that haven't ordered in a specific period of time, all that is very difficult to synchronize between systems. And because it is in one system, that allows, a lot of functionality and, a lot of power to the areas that it's needed. Betsy, were we going to open up? I probably didn't do the proper housekeeping to set expectations on whether we were going to open up for questions. Are we?
I think the easiest way is just, if you have a question, to type it into the question and answer box or send a message and we'll answer them.
Okay.
But if you really want to be unmuted, you can let me know and I can unmute you. So if anyone has questions, go ahead and enter those now.
Or raise your hand and we can unmute you. We'll give it 30 seconds for anybody to kind of chime in. It doesn't. Oh, there we go. Here's a question. Can you generate quotes from Acumatica, and can those quotes be tied to an incoming purchase order? So the answer is certainly you can generate quotes. And it's basically the same entry as a sales order. It's just a different type. You can have a quote inside an opportunity, which is what Tom is showing. So inside of any opportunity, you can have a quote or a number of quotes as it works its way through the negotiation process. And can those quotes be tied to incoming purchase orders? So certainly there are fields to allow you to have the purchase order and the copy of the PO associated with that quote. And eventually that quote would be turned into a sales order, hopefully, where the purchase order and any attachments could also migrate over to that. Tom, did you have anything to add on that? You are on mute, by the way. Okay. Well, hopefully that answered your question, Tyler. If not, certainly we can follow up.
Sorry for the struggle on unmuting myself.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, I would just kind of be looking to add a visual that basically as soon as we mark a particular item for PO that we want to purchase to order versus drawing from the quantity on hand. Options are to also to drop ship those same goods. As soon as we do this, we have the ability to have the purchasing module, and it's say like create purchase orders process form, recognize that, and have our purchasing manager execute that PO as linked.
Yep, very good. If that was also the question, yeah, the sales order, ultimate sales order from your customer could generate drop ship POs and purchase to order POs where we're coordinating the shipment to the customer. So that's the capability that Tom just showed there. So there is a lot of power in that functionality inside of Acumatica. Okay, one more question here. What does a typical conversion like? How long does it take? That is definitely a question that can vary in answer. So it really depends on the complexity of the implementation. Typical implementations run from, or simple ones would run from the 3-month to 6-month. More complex would run from the 6 to the 9-month, or even greater than that if it was, a certain complexity or a certain size. So in general, that process hasn't changed much, but the tool set has to where that is a much easier process than our legacy systems had allowed. So there's a lot more flexibility in getting data into Acumatica just because of the modern importing capabilities that it offers. Very good question so far. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone's time, and certainly Tom's contact information is there on the slide. I believe we'll be mailing out the slide deck and the recording to all attendees. So certainly you'll have our information if you would like to take further steps or have further questions. Thank you much for attending. I know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. Thanks. Have a good day.